Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the best tabletop gaming experience possible. My name is Gabe.
And my name is Jeff.
And we're going to answer your questions today. But first, I have a question, Jeff.
Yeah, what's that?
Who won that game of Mario Party just a minute ago?
I can't believe... I hate you. We're fighting right now. We're fighting.
So Jeff just brought over Mario Party for the Switch.
Yep.
And we were playing it along with our friend Steve. And I don't know, I heard that whoever won was very handsome and has a wonderful voice.
Gabe had gotten he got 4 stars within 3 turns.
Yep.
Within in a row.
Yep. I got two stars in a single turn.
Yeah, he got 2 stars and then he got 2 more stars in the next 2 turns. And then he got 2 bonus stars at the end. It was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I did. That was pretty good.
Ugh.
Yeah, gosh. Let's talk about this some more. So, yeah, the first star that I got was pretty nice.
But then that second one, man, that really put the icing on the cake.
Right. How are you doing today, Jeff? Aside from that.
I can't think of anything else.
All right.
So mad at you. No. I'm doing all right. Apparently Gabe lives down the street from some very delicious pizza.
Oh my goodness, yes. There's a bar. It's a bar that is it's 3 blocks from my house. We drive past it all the time. We walked to it the first time we went there. And we saw they had some good pizza. So we ordered one and oh my goodness, it was so good. Yeah. So we've gotten it almost every week since.
It's really good. If any of you know of Detroit style pizza, which I believe is just like a square pan pizza. Mm-hmm. I know some people don't like square pizza, but whatever.
It's so good.
It's good. You get the corners and stuff. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a square pan pizza, but then they put the sauce on top of the cheese. Mm-hmm. So
Buddy's is a restaurant, is a pizzeria chain.
Yeah. Buddy's Pizza. Yeah. It's a chain, but it's a Detroit style pizza. So so that the sauce doesn't get the dough, the crust all soggy, you know? So because they get that cheese layer kind of in between.
It's so good.
And it's really delicious.
Yeah. So the bar right by us, it makes that kind of pizza. It's so good. Yeah. So
next time on Dinner Party Conflict.
Yep. So I just got back from being out of town.
Oh yeah.
I was out of town for a week. It didn't disrupt the podcasting schedule. There were a few things that I had to do a little bit early or late. The episode actually went up several hours early last day.
Yeah.
And then I didn't get I usually put up a blog post every episode with links to stuff mentioned on the show.
Right.
I didn't get that up actually for several days. I just didn't have time to sit down and write it all out.
It's understandable. We got the episode up. That's all. That's what matters most.
Yeah. But so we were out of town visiting friends. We were visiting Haley, JT, and Brandon. Mm-hmm. They were on a little bonus episode of our show last November.
Yeah. And
so Haley and JT let us stay in their house for a week. It was so nice. They have a great house. We played board games.
Cool.
And so we drove down to Georgia. We stayed with them for several days. We went to an escape room.
Oh yeah.
I'd never done an escape room before.
Cool.
It was a lot of fun.
Cool.
That was a lot of fun. The way that it was at the beginning, I guess the idea was that we were trying to break into this mob boss's office or something to get some documents that would exonerate some guy.
Huh.
But the mob boss knew we were going to do it. So he kidnapped half of the team. So half the team was in a closet somewhere. So me, Lisa, and Brandon were in this little tiny room at the end. The rest of the group was at the entrance to the office. We had to find clues that would help them get to us. We found a way we could communicate with them.
Cool.
They were trying to get to us. Eventually we got together and then we had to get clues from all of the rooms together to find everything out. It was a lot of fun.
We should play we were here or we were there. It's a game. Steve and I had played it once and we talked about it. There's actually a sequel of it, but it's a asymmetrical puzzle game sort of thing where Steve was in a library and I was in a dungeon and I had to describe the room and then he'd have to use clues that he found in the library to tell me how to get through that puzzle.
Gotcha.
So I'd be there's 2 lamps and he's oh, okay. Oh, I see. There's a thing that references 2 lights, you know? So, and then he'd figure it out from there. So that was cool.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. Is that a board game or a video game?
Video game.
So we did the escape room. Then after we were in Georgia for the last day, we actually drove to Tennessee where we used to live, visited a couple friends there. And in Smyrna, Tennessee, which is where we used to live, there is now an arcade there, which was not there while we lived there.
Right.
So we went and we spent an hour at the arcade, and I played a bunch of games. I tried to focus mainly on games that I couldn't play on my own cabinet.
Sure.
So like there's one game where it's a driving game. Like you have a steering wheel, you have a gas pedal, a brake pedal, and a gun. And then there's another gun as well. So the idea is that when you play it, one person if you're playing one person, you're the driver and you're shooting, and you can have a second person that is just there to shoot.
Sure.
It's called Lucky and Wild. It was a lot of fun. I was really enjoyed that.
I wonder, was it set up where you could play where one person was only driving, the other person was dual wielding?
That would be pretty awesome. I'm sure you could do it.
Yeah.
It was really fun. And then they also had like a bunch of retro systems. They actually basically had every console there and a whole bunch of games that you could play. And it was $10 for the day.
Oh, geez.
Or $7 for an hour. We were only going to be there for an hour, so we paid for the
way to move away at the right time.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I'm tempted to move back to Tennessee just so I could go there.
This arcade, yeah.
Oh man, and yeah, they had like new pinball games as well.
Cool.
Lisa was playing a pinball game where she got a high score, and it took her photo of, or it was like the day's high score. It took her photo, but she was not prepared for it. So it is like the worst picture ever.
Fantastic.
Yes. Anyway, so we had a really good time. It was so nice just to relax for the week, just kick back, hang out with friends. It was a ton of fun.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about that. Anything going on with you?
So Griff and I are going to be live streaming Red Dead Redemption 2, which is coming out on the 26th, and I'm fingers crossed nothing happens and we get our hands on the copy on the same day. You know, like I have it pre-ordered and everything, pick up on the store. We're like right down the street from my house, so this shouldn't be an issue. But on the 26th, and we're going to start around 8 p.m., which probably means we'll probably start playing around 9 p.m.
Sure.
This is Eastern time. So yeah, we'll be playing that, and Griff is really excited because Red Dead 1 was his one of his all-time favorite games. And so he's excited to play the 2, and I'm excited to watch him play it, and then I'm also excited to play it when he's not play it on my own, because it does looks pretty cool. I've never played the first one, so but I don't think it's super tied to the first one.
Okay, I haven't played the first one, so.
Right? I don't know, but and then on November 3rd, we're going to be live streaming for up to 24 hours. I don't know if we're going to go the whole length, but there's a charity Extra Life that on November 3rd is having a game day where gamers on Twitch all over the place are going to be streaming for 24 hours, raising funds for charity and stuff like that. So Sketchy brought it up to me, and
and I was Sketchy.
Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, why wouldn't we do that? That I'm at least gonna try. I'm gonna try to go for the whole 24 hours. I don't know if I'm gonna do it because it has been a very long time since I've been up, past my bedtime.
Sure.
As you get older, bedtime is the best.
So, it is. It absolutely is. So when exactly does it start?
I'm not sure if it starts it goes from midnight to midnight. The Adventures in Aurelia peeps are they're doing a they have a whole schedule set up for it. So I'll talk with Sketchy or Damien and see exactly what's going on because they seem more familiar with it.
Yeah.
They're definitely more familiar with it than I would, because Sketchy's the one who told me about it. So, but no, I don't know. It's I play games all the time. I might as well, try to do it for a good cause.
Yeah.
If anything, it's an excuse to play more of my games that I have, because I'm going to want to change it up every so often.
Sure. I was just thinking because I'm going to be working probably through the lion's share of it. I was just going to try to find out is it still going to be going after I get out of work Saturday night, which will technically be Sunday? Is it going until early Sunday morning, or
I don't know. Technically, it's not a set day. It's a set day to really just kind of get everybody to do it.
Yeah.
But you can stream for this charity at any point you want.
Gotcha.
You just basically send out the hashtag or something like that and say hey, we're doing this for charity, and you can donate at this website, and if you donate it under my name, it credits my name as I set up a friend quest team, and I'm on the team. Yeah. So you could set up your own like profile basically with the charity, and then go under the FriendQuest team so that like you can individually raise raise money for the charity, and then it'll like go towards crediting the team. Not that it like you like if you pay like a little like fee at the beginning or something like that, like basically like if you, I think it's like $12 or something.
Sure.
If you raise so much, they give you like a little incentive thing, they might give you like a t-shirt or a I think one of them was a phone case, it was a phone case, but it was like a wooden one that was like not hand carved, but they like engrave it or something.
Oh, I see.
Just like little things, but it's a good cause in its video game, so I don't see why not.
If there's some way that I could, like, when I get home from work, maybe the night before, play for a little bit or something. I don't know. We'll try to figure that out. But yeah, if there's some way I can help, I would love to.
Yeah, I'll see what the exact times are, and I'm you're more than welcome at any time before or after to pop over for it. So I'm sure we'll. I honestly don't know how long we're gonna go for.
Sure.
I'm personally gonna try to do 24 hours. But that's just,
Yeah, and what day is it again?
November 3rd.
November 3rd.
So that's a Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, we'll try to keep you guys posted when this episode goes out. I mean, it should be it's still over like a week and a half, I think.
I think so, yeah.
From when that happens.
Sounds right.
So yeah, we'll try to keep you guys posted and see what happens. Okay, you want to go ahead and get into this episode?
Sure.
Cool. All right, Jeff. I want you to imagine that you have just killed the Taurus demon. All right.
Oh man.
You've got your Estus flask, you've got your kite shield, you've got your longsword. You're going along you've just left the undead burg, and there's a big old bridge in front of you.
Yeah.
There's some burn marks on that bridge, but you see a whole bunch of, enemy undead hollow soldiers or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And they're over there. You haven't gotten their attention yet, but you figure you're probably meant to go across this bridge.
All right. Yeah.
What do you do?
All right, I'm gonna hold up my kite shield, and I'm gonna start heading towards the first hollow and circle strafe him.
Okay. He's one of the ones with a spear, so you have to.
Yeah.
You go around him, you stab in the back, and he's dead.
Cool.
The other ones come at you, but you kill him too. But you were expecting maybe, because there's burn marks in the ground, maybe for some fire or something.
Yeah, maybe they're going to throw a firebomb at me or something.
I don't know. I mean, there's some guys shooting crossbows at you, but you don't see any fire.
Weird.
So anyway, you kill the rest of the guys, and then you see down at the far end of the bridge.
Yeah.
You see something that looks very nice. You see a big old pile of coins.
Ooh.
There's coins and there's gems. You maybe see like a couple magic items sticking out of that big old pile of gold.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, so you run up to it.
Yeah.
Throw all caution to the wind. You want to get to that treasure.
Obviously.
You get to it, and then you realize you probably should have looked up, because as you're diving into this pile of gold, from above the entrance to the building, a large red creature pokes its head down and looks straight at you, and you realize, oh, I probably shouldn't be here. You know why?
Why?
Because you have just dove into the dragon's hoard. I don't know where I was going with that. That was a Dark Souls reference for anybody who is not familiar with Dark Souls. Sort of. I don't know.
I hide behind a pillar and shoot its tail with a bow. Like,
there you go.
Times.
Its tail dies and you get a new sword.
Sweet, that I can't use yet.
That you shouldn't use because it's awful.
Oh, okay. Right.
Anyway, so the magic item today was submitted via Discord, submitted by Adam B. And the item that Adam submitted is called the Nameless King. Now, I'll just say right now, when he first posted this, I assumed that this was a Dark Souls reference. That's why I made the intro a Dark Souls reference. Because there is, in Dark Souls 3, there is a boss called the Nameless King. He wields a weapon that this is very reminiscent of.
Oh, yeah.
However, apparently it is not a Dark Souls reference. It is a Warhammer Fantasy reference. So I don't know who is referencing who, or if they are both referencing the same thing, which I suppose is pretty likely.
Right, yeah.
But definitely, that's immediately where my mind went with this. Anyway, so the Nameless King is a spear. So it is a legendary spear, requires attunement, And it says to wield this weapon. I'm actually going to say to attune to this weapon. To attune to this weapon, you must have a strength score of at least 16. You must have the Spear Mastery feat, which is from Unearthed Arcana. And you must be a fighter or a paladin. The weapon deals 2d6 slashing damage or piercing damage, 2d8 if used two-handed. So it is versatile in that regard. Now, the Nameless King Spear has 2 additional abilities. The first is that it is awakened. What that means is while you're attuned to the Nameless King, you gain a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls, and you deal 1 extra die of damage on critical hits.
Oh, nice.
So you do, instead of 2d8 or 2d6, you deal 3d8, 3d6. And then it is also enlightened. The Nameless King Spear holds 6 charges that can be expended to cast certain spells through the weapon. Using an action, you can use 2 charges to cast Lightning Bolt as a 4th level spell.
Lightning Bolt.
Or you can expend 4 charges to cast Chain Lightning as a 7th level spell.
Oh.
After using this feature, all successful attacks made with the weapon during the next round deal an additional 1d10 lightning damage. All charges are regained at dawn. If all charges are expended from the spear becomes inactive for 1d10 days.
Oh, cool.
So, it's a lightning spear.
Yeah.
That also lets you cast Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning.
Yeah.
So again, very similar to in Dark Souls, the Nameless King wields a lightning spear.
Yeah.
There's also another character that the Nameless King has something to do with, I don't know, that uses a lightning spear as well.
Maybe both are just mostly just referencing like something like Zeus,
Could be.
He hurled his thunderbolt. Sorry.
Sure. And also, I mean, in D&D, in 3rd edition, there was a magic item called the Javelin of Lightning.
Okay.
Which was a javelin that when you threw it, turned into a lightning bolt. So like it was an expendable magic. It was a consumable that would just cast magic. It would cast a lightning bolt at whatever you were throwing it at.
Nice.
So I'm not saying that's the first time that this concept was ever used.
Right. Yeah.
But the fact that it's called the Nameless King definitely makes me think of Dark Souls.
Right.
But
yeah.
Again, it's apparently from Warhammer, so I'm sure it is also something in the Warhammer universe. So I think this it's a cool weapon.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Definitely powerful.
Like the prerequisites are interesting. Like I don't think there's anything like that in 5th edition.
Generally, no. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's any official magic items that like require you to have a specific score or a specific class.
Right. I like it though, especially for something like a legendary item.
Yeah.
And I like it for a legendary item that it might just be something that the characters come across but don't have the prerequisites for, so you can give it to them early. So you have this powerful item, you have it early, they just can't use it, but it's like a goal. So like maybe maybe one of the players was thinking about, maybe I want to multi-class into Paladin or something, and so then they come across this thing that can only be used by a Paladin with with this feat, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna be a Paladin now, So it could be a nice little, because they just use it as a spear in the meantime. It's still a weapon.
I feel like I haven't been in very many games where the players were given an item that they weren't good enough to use yet.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's a thing that it shows up in games a lot.
Right, yeah. It's like you're not high enough level to use this weapon or whatever, which it's like, that's silly because it's a weapon. Unless it's just really crazy complicated to use.
Right. In Earthworld, the webcomic that I'm sure I've mentioned it in the past, the first story arc revolves around like the main characters are on what is essentially the evil side of this war. The guy who's in charge of the good side of this war has a holy artifact. Like there's like these 4 incredibly powerful artifacts that like everybody is trying to get. And he has one of them, but he hasn't been able to attune to it. So to him, it's just a powerful weapon. He doesn't have any sort of special abilities with it. And so like he thinks that because he has it, he has the right to rule because like they're these, passed down from the gods and so on. But then, small spoilers for the first story arc, it's not until he loses it and someone else becomes attuned to it and then they're able to use it to its full potential that, he realizes like, oh, my, this whole ideal that I've had is wrong. Anyway, that could be used in a game where someone has a magic item that they aren't able to attune to until certain things are met. And then,
Yeah.
that could come about at a really cool turning point in the campaign or something.
Yeah.
I guess that doesn't necessarily apply to this, but
Sure. But yeah, it's one of the first items we've seen.
it's one of the first items that we've seen that people might not be able to use for a long time.
Right. Yeah.
So, I would be interested in throwing this into a low level game. And even though they can't attune to it yet, see what the players do with it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, maybe if there's none of the players picked a healing class or something like that, so you put out an item that has a healing ability, a nice low-level healing ability that they can use right now.
Yeah.
But then has a much better healing ability that they get if they took like something like cleric or bard or something.
Sure, yeah.
So it'd be an incentive. If somebody wanted to take up that mantle, go ahead. If not, here's a nice little healing item you can have anyway.
And heck, yeah, this thing is powerful.
Yeah.
Like with it could cast the lightning bolt 3 times a day.
Right. The damage. Well, the extra damage die is that it has an extra damage die, and then you also double that because it's a crit, or is it when you double it, you add just an extra one?
I think it's when you double it, you just add an extra one.
Yeah.
So like a crit would be 5d6 because it's 2d6 base, which gets doubled.
Right. And then you add an extra.
And then an extra d6.
So that's
I
cool.
think so.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty hefty, but then that's, I feel like for a legendary item that's not even overpowered.
Sure.
That.
Yeah, I would even be tempted to say it doesn't even have to be legendary necessarily.
Sure, yeah, just because of the prerequisites, almost like it feels like, it's a powerful item, but because of the prerequisites, like it, I guess like in the right hands, it's definitely very powerful because if it's, if it's in somebody who is specifically geared towards, they have the feat. I don't know what the Spearmaster feat does.
I mean, I could bring it up, but I'd have to click another tab. Sure. I would almost be because of the names of the special abilities, Awakened and Enlightened. I'm almost tempted to make it intelligent.
Right. Yeah.
Like if it was intelligent and it had like a specific goal that it was working towards or something, I think that would push it into legendary and might even make it just like more, I don't know, more like integral to the campaign.
Although Awakened and Enlightened makes me think it should also be available for monks.
Ooh.
Because a spear is a monk weapon, right?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure. It is.
So don't call us on that if we're wrong. It could be. They could have the special ability that's usable by monks.
Right.
Or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
But
so I think that'll do it for the Dragon's Horde today. So once again, that was the Nameless King submitted by Adam B. So Jeff, if anybody else wanted to submit magic items for us to discuss, or if they wanted to submit questions for us to discuss, or stories for the funeral pyre, how would they get those to us?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com.
Yes. So before we go any further, we have a giveaway today. So this week, as always, we're giving away a copy of Chapel on the Cliffs, which is a great low-level 5th edition adventure courtesy of Goblin Stone. So, Jeff, who is our winner this week?
Our winner this week is Marco M.
Winner. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Yes, congratulations, Marco M. And I hope Marco doesn't mind me saying this. Marco contacted us from Brazil. So like a whole different continent.
Yeah. I guess it's sort of like, I think the word is ethnocentric, but like, it's just like, I mean, it's cool. It's cool that we have listeners from like from beyond the States.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I always just assume that all of our listeners are just in America. That being said, I guess one of our patrons that has taken part in the Roll20 game for the last couple months is from Europe. So, I mean, I guess I shouldn't act like it's completely out of the question.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's always really cool when we find out that we've got listeners, somewhere as far away.
Right. Yeah. It's cool. It's awesome.
Yeah. So congratulations, Marco. You should be getting that within the next day or two. And if you don't, let us know, of course. And be sure to let Goblinstone know what you think so that they can continue to make great products.
Awesome.
So I should mention that this episode, as are all of our episodes now, brought to you by our wonderful patrons.
Oh, yeah.
At patreon.com. If you go to patreon.com/interpartyconflict, you can become a patron. And what that means is that you can pledge to give us a little bit of money every month, maybe $1, maybe $5, maybe $10 a month. And then you'll get bonus stuff in addition to making the podcast better.
Right.
So we've got like bonus episodes on there. We've got this monthly Roll20 game every month.
We got outtakes.
We've got, I do like a little patron update where I give like recommendations on media, like media I've been consuming and stuff like that.
Gabe also writes a bunch of fiction.
Yes.
So he'll write stories about your character if you're a $10 patron.
That's correct.
He also just does like is it a monthly story that you do?
It is, yeah. Every month I do one. Hopefully by the time this episode goes out, this month's story will be done.
Yeah.
It's going to be something a little spooky.
Ooh.
So hopefully hopefully it turns out really good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So check out patreon.com/InterPartyConflict if you want to help make the show better and get bonus stuff for it. I think we got a great community on there. So check out the rewards and see if any of them look good. I also want to direct everybody to Crit Academy. It's a great podcast you guys should listen to. Justin, Ian, and Brandon, and sometimes Camden. They come up with new and reusable content for players and DMs alike. They've got great stuff on there for everybody that can enrich your game. Also check out D&D Character Lab. It is a great podcast where Garen and Dan create characters and then pit them against each other. And sometime soon you might hear some other familiar voices on there if it's not out already. So be sure to check them out. All right, you want to get into this episode, Jeff?
Sure.
Awesome.
All right, our first question comes from user Caleb on Reddit. How obvious should it be when a player fails a roll?
Yeah, and the example that they gave, I think there's a lot more examples than just the one they gave, which I think we'll get to. But the example they gave was, let's say players are making a skill check. Let's say they encounter a group of mountain giants, and one of the players rolls a history check or something to determine what's the best way to interact with these giants.
Right.
And so the first player rolls a 15 or something, and then gets okay. The DM says, you think that these giants they're very lawful. You should probably be very respectful to them. They probably value respect and authority and so on. So like if you are respectful to them, that's probably the best way to communicate. Then let's say the second player rolls a 9 and the DM says, all right, you think that might will show them who's boss. So you should probably walk up and punch one of them in the face and challenge them to a duel or something like that.
Right.
So the question is, which is like, is it a good idea to tell your player something that might lead them to do something wrong because they failed a check? Or should you just say you're not sure?
Right. Yeah.
So I guess let's talk about various types of rolls for this.
Yeah.
Let's start off with a skill check.
Sure.
Let's say a player's trying to make like a knowledge check.
Yeah.
Should you let them know? What should you tell them if they fail?
Right. Knowledge checks specifically are kind of interesting. I almost feel like they should be done, like the roll itself should be done by the DM, not the player.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you roll it low and then if the DM says a thing that's like maybe not obviously wrong, but probably not right, it's not the way to go.
Sure.
It's like you roll really low and you're like, yeah, you should walk up and punch him in the face. It's like, okay, obviously I shouldn't do that because I rolled a 1.
Yeah.
But if it's done behind a screen or something like that, you're saying like, yeah, they respect they respect the power and strength. I mean, they're giants, so they're all about, whoever is the most dominant, they respect them the most. So challenging the strongest one to a duel would probably get you further than just talking.
Sure.
So, but that was a 1. That was a bad roll in that case, but they don't know. That doesn't sound like that sounds like sound reasoning. Like, yeah, like, oh yeah, these guys are all muscle. Obviously, if I go up and just, start fighting one of them, they're going to be like, this guy's all right. Mm-hmm. And well, in the meantime, the guy who rolled really high, you tell him is like, yeah, though they're very lawful. They respect, like honor and authority and stuff like that. So if you're very respectful and like basically bow down to them, they'll leave you alone.
Yeah. So I like this question because there are so many factors into this that determine really kind of what you should do and like how a DM should play it. This is very largely going to also be a metagaming issue. So we talked about metagaming a while ago, and I remember after we did that episode and I was like listening back to it after the episode had gone out, I remember thinking like, wow, there are so many facets of metagaming that we did not even get into.
Yeah.
So some people might say, like, the argument could be made that all skill checks or many skill checks should be made in secret. Like the DM should not let the players know what they rolled, especially knowledge-based things like what you were saying. I mean, even with something like bluff, let's say a player tries to lie to somebody and the player knows that they rolled a 2. They're going to think, oh crap, I just flubbed this. This guy is not going to believe me. But then if the guy acts like he believes you, then the player might think, okay, he's trying to trick us. We got to attack or something.
Right.
So to some extent, you kind of have to trust your players to not metagame.
Yeah.
That being said, if the players don't know what the DC is, so like let's say you do bluff somebody and the player rolls really low, they don't know if, number one, the other person is trying to bluff back, to counter bluff them.
Right.
They also don't know if maybe the other guy's just an idiot and didn't see through even the very, very poor, maybe his insight was even lower than the bluff.
Right, yeah.
So to that extent, the players kind of can be free to draw whatever conclusions they want. But then how should the DM react in that situation? With knowledge is, because there isn't going to be, generally speaking, there's not going to be DCs that are below 10. I mean, unless they are just common knowledge, and in which case, why are you even rolling the dice?
Sure.
So if someone does roll a knowledge check or like a history or arcana or whatever, and they roll a 1 or a 2, and if the DM gives them information, I feel like they're going to naturally be distrusting of it.
Mm.
Again, you got to trust your players. If the players don't necessarily know if you're going to be giving them false information or not. But I guess the question is, should the DM give them false information?
Mm-hmm.
If a player fails a history check, should the DM tell them, oh, here's some information, and then give them fake information? Or should the DM just tell them you don't know?
Right. I guess really the way it should be done is they should just say, you're not sure.
Yeah.
Or I think the way that the DCs are set up is like, like a little bit of knowledge or a lot of knowledge. So like if you make that, at least get that 10, you get something. Mm-hmm. If you get below the 10, you're like, you're not sure. You've never heard of this. Or you're like, you've heard of them, but you can't place any other further details. Maybe on a 1, you would say something like, counterintuitive or something like that. But that goes with like the whole critical fumbles thing.
See, I know because I do occasionally give false information if the player rolls a 1, but at the same time, I hate fumbles.
I guess it's different in common.
Well, let me ask you this question.
Sure.
Let's say you do give the player false information and they act on it.
Right.
Is that ever a good thing, except that it might be funny? Like, okay, it will probably be funny.
Yeah.
But if you take out it being funny, is that ever going to add to the game if the player has false information and acts on it?
I guess it could.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. That's one. Yeah, it is one of those things where like, I don't know. I feel like if I was not the player that it was happening to, mm-hmm. So if I was at the table, a player, and the DM gave one of the other players false information, it was obviously false information, but then they acted on it, I'd be like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
It's like, it's wrong, but I'm also I'm saying that's metagaming.
That is metagaming.
Yeah, it's like, it's wrong, so why would you do it?
Yeah.
But, but I metagame not because I'm trying to cheat. I metagame because I play video games and I have metagame knowledge when playing video games. So like that's my mindset. I know I should get out of it when I'm playing D&D, but it's tough.
Because like, again, I have had some hilarious times when a player rolls really low on a knowledge check and is given false information and they play it up for laughs.
Yeah.
We have a running gag with Steve's character in the Age of Worms campaign where he was like, he saw a cockatrice, which is like looks like a chicken, and he rolled so low on his check that I told him, oh, that's a maroot. Maroots being these like gigantic clockwork, muscle-bound automaton things from the plane of Mechanus.
Right.
Completely different monsters.
Yeah. But
we got so much mileage out of the gag of him mistaking these two completely different monsters.
Right, yeah.
But again, if it's not for humor, does that ever add to the game?
Sure. Because
you might hope that false information will make a humorous situation, but if it doesn't, if you just poorly time the joke or whatever, and then they act on that false information, and then next thing you know, 2 sessions have passed where they've been planning out a heist on a building that doesn't exist or something.
Right.
And the whole thing was because, you misplaced a comma or something. When it comes time to actually explain to the players why their plan went wrong, I feel like the players are going to be like, why did you let that happen? I mean, DMs can let stuff like that happen, but if I was a player and I put like actual like at the table time that I'm setting aside to do something that was due to a simple misunderstanding, I feel like it would be real hard to not be incredibly upset when actual time is being wasted on this. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. That's interesting.
To an extent, I feel like the DM should try to keep that from happening.
Yeah.
Then again, I would not at all blame someone for feeling otherwise. Just, I don't know, be aware that, like, don't waste too much time on a gag. And that's essentially what giving your player false information is.
Sure.
It's a gag because you might mean it to be incredibly obvious, but they might not get it.
Yeah.
Like there's the age-old story of like, okay, you see a gazebo. Oh, I'm going to attack the gazebo. And then everybody laughs because they're like, what? You don't know what a gazebo is? And then, the whole thing is that one person just didn't know what a gazebo was. And so they wanted to attack it because they thought it was a monster.
Right.
When, again, simple, maybe they just never heard that word.
Right. Yeah.
So similarly speaking, you might give your player false information in the case of like a history check or an arcana check or whatever. And they might not realize it's false and they might act on it. And then the more time spent on it, I feel is taken away from the game.
Yeah. Because we used to just call them houseless porches.
Sure. So, I guess we don't really have a good answer as far as like knowledge checks are concerned. Let's say other kinds of checks, or let's say you make an attack roll. A player misses.
Yeah.
You as the DM know that the player missed by 1. Should you tell them, oh, you almost hit?
Right.
Or should you try to keep the AC, the enemy's AC, like a bit more nebulous?
Yeah, sure.
And I guess you being like, as the player's point of view, which would you prefer? Would you prefer the DM sort of telling you, sort of helping you triangulate what the DC is? Mm-hmm. Or would you rather just keep trying?
I think I guess just keep trying is going to be the simplest way. Just like, it's just like, oh, you miss, like you could dress it up a little bit, obviously, but like, there's only so many numbers that it could be, especially in 5th edition. Like the ACs don't get too high.
Sure.
So like if you roll a 17 and you miss, you're like, oh, dang, this thing's got some good armor. All right. You go and you beef it up a little bit or something, or you find a way to get advantage and you get an 18 and it's like, no, you still miss. You're like, what? That's crazy. Okay. He's got some really high AC. And so like, to keep doing what you can to get advantage or to get a bonus or something. Or try a different tactic or something like that. So like, figuring it out, but I mean, like if you rolled that 17 and the DM was like, yeah, you weren't even close, like you'd be like, that's, I don't know. I feel like keeping it a mystery. I don't know. I don't think there's a huge downside to telling them that, at least with attack and AC.
Sure.
It's not a huge downside to that, but I mean,
when we were running Age of Worms, again, with Age of Worms, there was a time in the first adventure where there was a trap or something. There was like a big stone block that was blocking off a hallway. Mm-hmm. And the players tried to push the stone block out of the way. And they had to make a strength check in order to do so. And when they made the check, they just barely missed it. And they could have rolled higher. But they rolled pretty high. They didn't get it. They didn't like take 20 or anything. They could have gotten higher, but I just told them, you fail. You aren't able to push it. And they gave up. They just assumed that it was out of their ability to do so.
Sure.
And then I was getting like, well, why don't you just keep trying? And I later told them, you were like 1 away from getting it. And I think it was Jay explaining to me like, you didn't tell me that. You told me we rolled like an 18 and you told me that we missed. Or you told me that we weren't able to do it. So I just assumed that it was too hard for us.
Sure.
And, I don't think that I did anything wrong. I don't think they did anything wrong. But by not telling them, you felt like it was about to budge, but didn't quite do it.
Yeah.
I was essentially blocking. I was essentially cutting out that part of the adventure from the adventure. I don't think it would have been a bad thing to tell them.
Yeah.
You almost did it.
And I feel like in a realistic, like if you're going for realism, I feel like if you were close on something like pushing an object like that, you'd feel it kind of budge a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
So I guess, you could rule that as something that you can let them know. So I don't know. I think maybe you can kind of say that like the attack roll itself. So like your proficiency in that skill or your proficiency in that skill check or that attack roll or whatever.
Yeah.
Part of that proficiency is knowing when you almost got it.
Okay.
Or, knowing it's not just doing it, it's knowing it. It's knowing how to do it. So like your athletic skill, which is, I'm assuming, I think is what you'd use to do push and pull. Actually, no, I think
just probably just a strength check, but athletics would be for more like complex
stuff. Yeah. So like, you're doing athletics, you're making an athletics check. It's not just that you're strong, you're good at athletics. You're athletic. So like, sports take more than just muscle. They take, you have to know the sport. So, part of the check would be if you got high enough, it's almost like a knowledge check in its own way, like a separate DC knowledge check. You almost got it.
Okay.
So like the DC to move it was 19, but the DC to know what you're doing about it was 15. So like you if you got above a 15, then
I see what you're saying.
Then it's like, well, you don't feel like you got a good grip on it that time. So maybe give it another shot.
Yeah.
But if they were like way lower on it, you'd say like, it's just, you can't do it.
Sure. So like, let's say a player's making a stealth check.
Okay.
And they roll really low. I feel like you're probably going to know if you like stumble and drop a bunch of pots and pans while you're sneaking around the corner.
Yeah.
But
well, that's another one. That's a gag thing again.
Kind of.
It's like you failed it, so you trip and fall and you knock a thing over or whatever. But like if they roll, it's like, okay, I got a 9, and then you go, okay, all right, what do you do next? So maybe the enemy does see you, but then they make a deception check to make it seem like they don't know that they see you.
Sure.
So maybe you use the player's passive perception.
Oh, there you go.
To gauge whether or not they know that they've been spotted.
Okay.
I mean, that's a lot of extra. That's some extra work involved in a very small amount of time.
Yeah.
But that's. I feel like that's a way to get around that. Is like you don't outright say, oh, you stumbled and knocked over a stack of dishes.
Yeah.
You say it's like, all right, you sneak your way past this guard, and check in the passive perception. He doesn't seem to notice you. Just as you pass him, he stabs you or something.
Sure. Yeah, I guess. If I had to give, like, someone puts a gun to my head and say, like, give an official answer to this question, I would probably say, make it as obvious as possible. Like, if there is something, because the only thing that can come from like tricking the player into doing the wrong thing, the only thing that can come from that is additive to the game is humor. And unless you're trying to be funny, don't do it.
Yeah.
Or make it clear you're trying to be funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, because you'd want to do it if you're trying to be realistic, but again, we've talked about trying to be realistic in this game. You can't.
Exactly.
You just can't.
Are you trying to be realistic, or are you trying to keep the game moving?
Right. Yeah. So, I guess being as obvious as possible. Like, I know some players, some DMs will prefer one way or another, and obviously it's up to your choice.
Yeah.
But I feel like there is less chance of like resentment and like, any sort of negative feelings if you're just upfront, like, oh, you missed, like, oh, you missed, or, oh, you just don't know that thing, or,
sure.
Whatever.
I mean, if you as the DM, you do really want to be able to do, if you decide that you do want to be able to feed the players wrong information when they roll really low, then the only way that is going to work is if you are rolling in private. In which case, let your players know that's what you're going to be doing before you do it. I mean, we've had campaigns like that where, like I've said, hey, I might be rolling for your abilities, or I might have like a sheet of random numbers basically, and I'll just check one off so the players don't know that I'm rolling for stuff.
Yeah.
So in that case, just let the players know, hey, I'm going to be doing this from time to time. If anybody has issue with that, please let me know right now.
Here's the thing.
What's that?
I don't know if this is good at all, but
Okay.
This doesn't really work, but I had the thought of what if it's an advantage or disadvantage roll,
Uh-huh.
one of the rolls is done by the DM.
Ooh. I really like this idea, Jeff.
Like maybe it would just work for disadvantage.
Maybe
it would just work for disadvantage.
Yeah, if it's advantage, I don't know if that would.
But like maybe disadvantage rolls, the second die is rolled by the DM. So you don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Or it's like all rolls are at disadvantage and the DM rolls one. But if it's advantage,
or how about this one?
I don't know.
How about this? You have disadvantage, the DM rolls.
The DM rolls.
So if you have disadvantage, you don't get to know what you rolled.
Oh, well, do they roll disadvantage?
Like the DM rolls
the 2 dice or 1 dice?
Oh, actually, I don't know. That's a good question. I guess 2 dice, but
yeah, it's a neat concept.
There's something good
there.
here.
Yeah, there's something there. It's I don't know. Ooh, we'll have to give that some thought.
Yeah,
because I kind of like that. All dice rolls are done both by the DM and the player, and then here it is.
Okay.
I think I got it. All dice rolls involve the player and the DM rolling.
Okay.
And well, I guess that because the rules are too defined though. Because I was gonna say like the player doesn't know whether they're getting advantage or disadvantage, but there's too many things that are.
Yeah, they would probably know if they got. I mean, the DM might choose to give them advantage or disadvantage without them knowing.
Sure.
You know, I could see that happening.
Yeah. Ooh.
I don't know. I still think it needs a bit of work, but someone out there.
Yeah.
Someone out there can find a way to make this work.
Right. Yeah.
Let us know what you come up with, because I think this is a good idea.
Yeah.
This is the beginnings of a good idea.
Right. Because there's that bit of mystery because you're not sure if the DM is using your role or their role.
Mm-hmm.
There is room for resentment there because it's like, did he cheat and just say he got something else or whatever? But I feel like there's something there. So I don't know. Maybe we'll revisit that.
Maybe. All right. That'll probably be our only regular question for this episode, but we do still have our social media discussion questions. So last week's social media discussion question was, how did your character get that scar?
Oh, yeah.
So do you recall what your answer was?
Oh, yeah. I had I figured out the character's name. It was I played Tekken 4 when I was younger, and there was a character called Steve Fox. He was an English boxer, I think.
Okay.
And he had this really like crazy scar in his arm, all the way down his arm. And like part of his storyline was like, he doesn't remember how he got the scar. So he had to figure out who did it, but it was this like real nasty, veiny scar that he had. And so my character had one of those that he got from his father, basically like shredding his arm up with a spiked chain weapon. Mm-hmm. And then he started all of his like warlock, like his Eldritch Blast would kind of like come out of the scar sort of.
Yeah. And then there was a point where you killed a demon and sort of like absorbed it into that arm.
Right.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then I had my character Artemis Red Sleeves was shot in the face with an Eldritch Blast from a warlock.
No relation.
No relation. He shot in the face by a warlock and it basically like blew his head in half, but then
different patron
was brought back from the dead, but he has a huge nasty scar on his face.
Look, Ma, it's Harry Potter.
Yes. Yeah. Harry Potter could have been an answer to this question. So we got a few answers from our listeners. None of which were super long, which I think is good.
I'm sorry, I'm already reading the top of the list.
Do you want to read the top of the list?
Yeah. Justin from Crit Academy says, walked into a bar.
Yep.
Very good.
Colin W. on Facebook says, mark of her patron, scar discoloration around her left eye. Ooh. So, her patron gave her the scar.
Right.
Kind of like what you were saying with your warlock powers came out of that.
Yeah, warlock scars.
Yes. Lath on Facebook says, the gun got snagged in my holster and the goblin got his chance and knife ever so slightly slash across my face.
Ooh.
So gun snagged in the holster, and that goblin right in there.
Oh, jeez.
Jason S says they found the dragon's hoard.
Oh no.
And then so I guess
I got lots of scars from that.
Then second answer, trying to up their juggling act, had an unfortunate incident with knives.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Scott N said looking in a small hole in a door to check the other side for traps.
Oh man.
Giant rat bit side of my face.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Justin says he was thrown off the side of a mountain as a child because he was weak.
Oh man. Oh.
Like in the movie 300.
Yeah.
I guess that's what the Spartans would do.
Right.
Yeah.
The one. What the heck was his name? I don't think he had a name.
I mean, there was
called him like the Hunchback or something.
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, he was one of many. He was actually the one that was not thrown off the mountain. He was deformed, and his father snuck him away so they wouldn't throw him off the mountain.
Oh.
Yeah. Colin says Kongu was given a cursed scar over one eye that would not heal even under healing magic. The scar was part of a ritual that removed select memories from his past and was later used to identify him.
Oh, dang.
Interesting. Well, over on Reddit, we've got 00 Jiminy Cricket says, my NPC is named Rogar. He is a portly fellow who grew up as a sailor, then pirate, then legit merchant captain, and eventually inherited merchant ships from his in-laws. During his time as a ship captain, he was ambushed by a pirate ship. His crew defended off the attack, but Rogar had been stabbed in the mouth by a pirate wielding a cursed dagger.
Yikes.
The dagger's curse began spreading through Rogar's face, but luckily the ship's cleric was able to stop the curse. Unfortunately for Rogar, the curse had blackened the left side of his face, leaving the skin brittle. Pieces of skin occasionally break off still when Rogar laughs.
Oh, man.
Ugh.
Gee, he gets stabbed in the mouth.
I know. CJ Wolf says, an orc saber. This is my very first session using an actual RPG system. Brand new to the RPG club at school. I wish my school had an RPG club.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Very first night, first interaction, cold opening into the story. The orc crits and takes my eye out.
Jeez.
That's what I love about, that's the whole reason I started the funeral pyre is it was my first time ever rolling a die.
Yeah.
I died. And then I like this one. Prosino on Reddit says in a gruff voice, what's it to you? It's a great answer to that question.
Right.
We got only a couple on Twitter. Jeff is laughing because one of them is better explained by a GIF than the actual answer. Carl Linsmeyer says, look at those poor saps back on land with their laws and ethics. They'll never know the simple joys of a monkey knife fight. And then there's a GIF from The Simpsons of these two monkeys fighting on the deck of a ship.
Oh, man.
Yep. Collins B on Twitter says, Blue Jay fell under the influence of mind control and was forced to rip his own eye out of its socket.
No.
Leaving the surrounded area covered in scars.
You should get a save for that.
Well, I mean, he probably did. That's the thing.
Oh, dang. You're right.
Oh, man. Yeah, my response to that was simply, holy crap. And then got just a couple on Discord. Blub Sternchin says,
yeah,
she did it to herself to cross out the burn mark, branding her a slave on the back of her hands.
Oh, cool.
So the lesser of two evils, I guess. Yeah. You have a brand, so you cut it out and have a scar instead.
Right. That's hardcore.
Yeah. David E says, I'm not the player, but the DM. I was running a game where the party was attacked by a blue dragon. A couple of the characters got caught in the breath weapon blast. One survived due to orcish resilience. The other did not. Ooh. The survivor now has a scar resembling lightning bolts in a circular pattern on her chest.
I really like that because I like that it's an orcish resilience. So it's like you would have died if you weren't an orc, basically.
Yeah.
And because of that, like you got this scar.
Yeah.
That's a really cool flavor for orcish resilience. Is anytime you do that, you have to put in a scar.
I do like that idea.
Oh,
I once played a character that I decided just as part of my character's like makeup, I guess, is that my character was incapable of developing scars. his body was like always perfect, which meant that like if a magic item was, if there was like a magic earring or something, he would not be able to use it because anytime he would try to like pierce his ears, it would force out whatever was in there.
Oh man.
Anyway, and then David E did post a picture in our Discord of a scar similar to what he's describing.
Yeah.
That it's a scar on somebody's back that does look like just bolts of lightning going in every direction. So it's kind of terrifying.
Right.
And then the very last one we have from Lone Rev. This is maybe a good ending to this.
Okay.
He fell off his horse during military training and scarred up his side with a spear. So after all those badass things that people are doing, had to forced to rip out his own eye. He was hit, saved from the lightning by their orcish bloodline. And he fell off a horse.
Landed on his spear.
Yep. All right. So yeah. So those were the social media discussion questions for last week. Now the question for this week is, what is a mechanic from a video game that you would like to see in a role-playing game?
I really like, now this isn't something that like, so I really like the Nemesis system from the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War games.
Okay.
Now that's not something that you couldn't already have in something like D&D.
Sure.
I mean, but that's all done through that's all done through the DM, basically. It's like they decide if somebody's going to come back from the dead or come back with a scar or run away and fight again or whatever, But I feel like it would be cool if there were more like solid mechanics for it, dice rolls and things like that.
Like mechanics for like for bad guys coming back after you defeat them.
Right, yeah. So the idea with for those not familiar with the Nemesis system, it was just a thing in the game where like you're fighting a bunch of orcs, and say you get you're playing a character that keeps coming back from the dead every time they get killed. Like they can't be killed forever. They just keep coming back. But whenever they die, time passes. So the idea is like a low level orc kills you, they get like, and then some time passes before you come back. So the idea is that orc gets raised up in the ranks because he was able to kill you because you're this powerful thing.
Sure.
So he becomes a captain. And then that captain might have a scar from when you fought him. And so like you might come across him again and he's got that scar that you gave him and he's extra mad at you. He's like, you know what? I'm coming right for you now.
Yeah.
But every time you fight him, like he like gets a little bit stronger, or like they level up the more you fight them and the more they escape, or, the more things that they kill in the meantime. And so like, or if you use like you have like fire abilities. So if you use fire abilities, you might get like a fire scar, like a burn scar.
Yeah.
But he might then be afraid of fire.
Ooh,
so that if you use fire again, he tries to run away.
Yeah.
Or he might become resistant to fire or get angered by fire and go into a rage because you use fire again. Like, how dare you do that again?
Yeah.
So like, it'd be cool if there were some sort of mechanic in D&D where like, every time you come across, an enemy. Now, it's hard for this to work in D&D because players are very unlikely to let a bad guy get away.
Yeah, and
to the point of throwing caution to the wind, players will go after a running bad guy.
Yeah.
Like madmen, they will go after them. There was a game I played, H1Z1.
Sure.
Or if anybody's not familiar with that, like games like Rust or DayZ, those are like the multiplayer survival games.
Yeah.
There was these two guys I played with. They were actually twin brothers.
Oh.
And like you could almost never tell them apart looking at them, but the way they played were completely different.
Okay.
So one of them was more reserved, and the other one, if another player came up to us and started like attacking us and then ran off, he would book it and not stop. Even though in that game, everyone had the exact same running speed.
Yeah.
There was no way you were going to catch him.
Right.
But he just kept on running after him. And it's like, stop, you're just getting further away from where we were trying to go. Just come back. Stop it. No, you're not going to catch him. And even if you you're alone now because you ran after him. And so now it's one-on-one. You're just playing into his, into his trap. Come back. But no, you just keep running after it.
Yeah.
That is how a D&D player plays when an enemy starts running away. You don't let them do that. To their defense,
if they get away, they're going to set off the alarm or something.
Yeah, they might set off the alarm. They're going to go get more help, whatever. But like, I feel like there is fun in letting a bad guy escape.
Yeah.
Because that like makes stuff more, more stuff happen,
Also, players don't, I mean, it's not that common for players to die and then come back and then just go on adventuring again. Like, I mean, players dying is often not fun, so it doesn't happen often enough for there to be mechanics around like, well, the guy that killed you did this and so on and so on.
Yeah. Oh.
So yeah, I mean, there that would be neat to see someone implement it.
Yeah.
My answer for this, quick save.
Oh yes. So you just be like,
hey, how far down is that pit? Quick save. I jumped down. Okay. Reload. Oh, it's pretty far. Let's not go down there.
I like.
Oh, there's a sleeping dragon. Quick save. I'm gonna stab the dragon in the face. I died. All right. Reload. I meet the king. Quick save. I'm gonna slap the king and then kiss his daughter and then take a dump right on the throne
and then steal his dog.
Reload. Greetings, fair leader.
Majesty.
Your Majesty. Yeah, I mean, there's so many reasons why that wouldn't work.
Right, but yeah, that's
yeah. All right, so yeah, hopefully our listeners have some good mechanics there that they could tell us about.
That's a nice weapon you got there. Quick save.
Exactly. I have actually toyed with the idea of running if it's what the campaign is about, I'm sure there's a way you can do it.
Yeah.
I have toyed with the idea of having the players essentially be like, I think Steve once jokingly used the phrase time liches, and I was like, huh. So with the idea being that like they could set a point and then refresh back to that point anytime they wanted to. But again, it would be like for a specific adventure, not just for a general campaign or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, so that was those are our questions for this week. So check us out on social media. Let us know what your answers are to that question. So we're gonna move on to the final segment of the show. So I think we should let's take a deep breath. Let's relax. Let's remember those who have come before us. Let's remember those who have killed us in the past.
Yep.
And now we're going for revenge. And let's toss another log onto the funeral pyre. Today's funeral pyre was submitted by Reddit user Dick Stevens. And they actually submitted two character deaths that are kind of related. I'm mainly just going to be reading the first one. But the character's name is Thulkenshield Orin, a rogue dwarf.
Okay.
Location, Glorantha, Third Age, Northern Sartar near Johnstown. I don't know if these are established anything, but he put them in the post, so I'll include them. His objective, track down and kill a guy who'd been using a magical staff to command a horde of Gorp. I don't know what Gorp are. I'm just going to roll with it. Cause of death. Jumped headfirst into a Gorp, then proceeded to cast Ignite on himself and burn it from the inside out.
Oh, dang.
I don't know what a Gorp is, but I imagine it's something large. Maybe gelatinous.
Yeah, maybe ooze-like in some way.
So, yeah, he killed himself by burning the creature around, by burning himself, immolating himself inside another creature.
Oh, dang.
A noble death, I suppose.
A crispy noble death.
Yes. So again, that was Thulkenshield Orin. And I just want to mention the next character was Thulkenshield's replacement, Orin with a silent F. So, yeah.
I can't really be mad at that.
Yeah.
Because... or no, it was Steven who came up with George with a PH.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the name
All
George,
right,
but spelled with a PH instead of a G.
Yeah.
Like...
All right. So we will raise a glass. Let's raise a glass in memory of Thulkenshield Orin, who would have been better off helping Balbo fight off Logum and taking the ring to Mount Mood. Clink. So that'll do it for today. To submit questions for us to discuss, items for the Dragon's Horde, or stories for the funeral pyre, please email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. For show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, go to interpartyconflict.com. Join the discussion on social media. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/InterPartyConflict, our subreddit at reddit.com/r/InterPartyConflict, or on Twitter at InPartyConflict for our weekly social media questions. Also on our Discord. Sorry. Your answers might end up on the show. Find us on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, YouTube, anywhere you download podcasts. Please rate, review, subscribe, or just tell a friend. If you'd like to support the show, check out the rewards at patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. There's a few different tiers, so anything you can spare, even $1 a month, would go towards making the show better, and you'll get bonus content for it. Jeff, tell us about FriendQuest.
FriendQuest is our YouTube channel where we play video games, and we'll also be streaming live on Twitch at twitch.tv/FriendQuestStream. On the 26th of October, we'll be playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and on November 3rd, we will be doing a 24-hour stream for charity for Extra Life. So please join us on both of those, and if you can't make it, we'll be putting those up on YouTube. Also asterisks, because I'm not there's been some technical changes with Twitch, so I'm gonna have to look into it. I'm gonna try and make it happen. I'm gonna do my best.
All right. And I have a little side project, the Arcade Memories podcast, which you can find on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever. You can check that out. And if you have any arcade memories of your own, stories of going to the arcade, going to birthday parties at the mall where people are playing arcade games, whatever, you can send those to me at arcadememoriespodcast@gmail.com. Also, head over to bit.ly/InterPartyConflict to take a short survey about our show. What you like, what you don't like, etc. And just for taking it, you'll get 2 free printable board games courtesy of Mary and Tom over at hollandspiel.com. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hacker's RPG. So, Jeff, until next time,
quick save.
Oh no!